I look at the picture and it's like how far I've come. I just look at it. I don't remember any of this.
Mm-hmm.
I can look at myself with a ventilator tube, a tube in my side, electrodes everywhere. And to me, it brings back positive memories because I think of how far I've come.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because I know for me, I journal every day. Do you do any type of journaling?
I don't.
You don't. You don't
I
like.
used to,
Hmm.
but I don't since my brain injury. I have a limited amount of cognitive energy per day. I've sort of learned how much I can have. So while I'm teaching, on the days that I teach, I can't walk far. I can't hike. I typically can't do much in the morning because I'm going to go to school.
Yes.
I have to start trying to cue myself days in advance of the lecture. So I look over the slides multiple times. I used to never have to do that.
You wrote a book.
Yeah, a nutrition book in 2001.
Have your opinions on nutrition changed since you wrote that book?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some research. It's changed slightly, but that was a sports nutrition book, so not a whole lot.
And isn't it amazing now to see these super athletes doing plant-based diets and like Djokovic, Novak Djokovic he was fatiguing and he found out that he was allergic to gluten and that he was eating pizzas all the time because his parents has a pizza restaurant. But you were ahead of your time with that.
I don't know if I'm ahead of my time. There's my doctoral advisor. Had been doing research on this for 40 years, and there's been research on this since Pritikin days, and the 1940s. There was research on the rice diet and
The rice diet?
rice diet.
What's that?
That was primarily a carbohydrate diet, and people would it in that it was a medical doctor that developed it, and it was primarily grains and whole grains, which is different than Healthy Human Services just yesterday came out with. Um,
But the
but
pyramid with all of those grains,
they just flipped it, so now grains are at the top of it. To
small amounts.
yeah, small amounts. Yeah, I don't agree with many of the changes, but that's fine. I didn't agree with it before.
What people are saying that um, dementia, Alzheimer's is basically type 3 diabetes. It's from having too much sugar
Yeah,
in your blood. Is that something you believe?
that's part of the problem. Ultra processed foods are part of the problem. There has been a lot of research on dementia, on memory, on cognitive function, on Alzheimer's, and a Mediterranean diet or a plant based diet and the benefits of it. And I think part of my healing was my primarily plant based diet. With now I eat more fish than I used to. I take fish oil supplements
For the brain.
for my brain. Dr. Ignacio asked me to do a presentation for St. Jude's Brain Injury Network, and unknowingly he posted it. I mean, I didn't mind on YouTube, so people can search my name or search St. Jude's Brain Injury Network nutrition, and my talk will come up.
And
And I talk about how the fats we eat are incorporated into our cell membranes. And it either puts you in an inflammatory state or an anti inflammatory state. And a lot of diseases, chronic diseases, start with inflammation and inflammation in the brain. And your brain, your neurons, and the supporting nerve cells are highly there's a lot of fat in them. The technical name is lipids. But I show in that talk how the lipids you eat, the foods that you're eating, become your cells. And there's studies, and I show the graphs. Because of that talk, someone on the board of the Brain Injury Association of Maryland saw it, and they invited me to an annual conference in 2023 to give a similar talk and to give the keynote lecture.
Amazing.
Because every year for 38 years, now 30, 40, or they have a brain injury survivor talk about the tools that they have used and learned and that allowed them to achieve healing. And it's attended by neurologists, MDs, DPTs, speech therapists, occupational therapists, caregivers. They get continuing education credits. And I was honored to give the keynote talk, as well as the lecture on nutrition for cognitive function.
It's amazing. I know that Dr. Ignacio is also on panels to try and help the understanding
Oh,
because
he's done amazing work.
amazing work. And he had an accident himself. So he's a survivor and he went and got his PhD after the accident.
I'm hesitant to say this, although I've told my university that I'll be retiring at the end of the year.
Why? It's too early.
Well, I may teach part time, but the cognitive stress doesn't allow me to do things. I can't socialize. I can't, especially on a Sunday or during the week, because I wouldn't be able to recover cognitively by the next day to teach.
And you're 5.5 years out from your injury, your brain
Yeah,
injury.
yeah,
It's amazing. People don't realize. And there are certain things that we can do, you and I, that maybe we look normal.
yeah.
But then if I do that laundry, I'm out for the rest of the day. That's it. If I do the laundry, that is the day. Whereas before I would wake up, make breakfast, go to tennis, go to my
Oh,
career.
I used to ride the bike 4 hours before I went to work,
Wow.
give lectures, finish that, get home, or do it at my office, do consulting work. I mean, I'd be go, go, go. I used to sleep 6, maybe 7 hours a night. Now I need a good 12, 10, 12 hours because the cognitive healing that needs to go on.
Tell me how you're able to get great sleep. What are you doing?
Uh, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Some days I have a very difficult time. I think part of it has to do with if I have things coming up. Now, interestingly, uh, maybe 3 years in, Dr. Ignacio asked people, and he generally does, are there any, what does he call them? Celebrations, or, are there,
Wins, yeah, the big
yeah.
wins.
And, I raised my hand and he called on me. And I said, when you keep going over something in your mind,
When it keeps repeating over and
yeah,
over.
in the nighttime,
Like monkey brain?
no,
No.
but it's normally thought of as a negative. Okay.
OCD?
There is a term, I'm sorry, I forgot it.
No problem.
But I said, I remembered that I did that last night because even today, I go to sleep, I wake up. I don't remember any dream. I don't know if I'm dreaming. I don't even remember if I get up. I do get up to go to the restroom. I don't remember that when I wake up. So I don't really know if I'm sleeping or not.
What was the win when you put your hand up when he
Oh,
said, do you have something to share that's a win?
yeah, that I did that because I hadn't remembered anything for the period of time before from sleep. And I didn't do it for another year. I mean, I only did it that one night for a short period of time, but it was a sign that there's healing.
Improving. It's interesting because yesterday I went to the doctor and they keep giving you tests, and I'm very good at tests.
Like,
They show you a hexagon on top of another hexagon and then they say draw it, right? And I'm good at draw. I'm a people pleaser, so I want the doctor to be happy with me. I want him to go, "Great job, Adeline." And I'm good at tests. I'm very good at tests. Not mathematics right now, just like you. I can't do any of that. And I
you know,
was
I teach calculus and physics and biomechanics.
wow.
Yet I used to be able to do it in my head, like say, okay, the humerus is, however many centimeters long, and the bicep attaches 3 centimeters from the axis of rotation, and how much torque is produced when you hold a 25-pound dumbbell or whatever. I'd make up things. I could do it in my head while the students were trying to do that answer. I
Wow.
used to be able to. When I taught biomechanics since then, I had to write everything down on the slide because I wouldn't be able to make it up just in my brain, in
Yeah,
my
and I
mind's
don't
eye.
do things sequentially at the moment yet. So I have to say first put your underwear on and then your shirt because then I put the shirt on and I don't have the underwear.
Yeah.
So then I have to take the shirt back off. I mean, getting dressed it takes so
Yeah,
many
it's a
steps.
cognitive challenge.
Oh my goodness, it's so much.
Yeah.
And then it's very interesting because I didn't really have, when people said that they suffered from depression or ADHD or anxiety, I was like, just write a gratitude list.
Yeah.
Like if you're forgetful, just write a list. It's not easy to write a list, is it, when you have
No.
a TBI?
No. Something else I was going to show you another tool.
Oh, yeah, show me. I
In
love
Clark
tools.
Elliott's book, he talks about Donnelly Marcus, Dr. Donnelly Marcus.
Donnelly Marcus.
And there
Okay.
are puzzles and there are shapes here. You
Yes.
have to replicate it with these dots.
Wow.
And then you have to find them in this.
Wow.
Now, I can't do this
Yeah.
during school. This is a summer project. That's why I have it here.
Yeah.
This is intermediate.
Okay.
Uh, I was able to do the beginner. Intermediate, last summer, I could only get through maybe 10 of them. And well, this is a intermediate level. I mean, the beginning was where I started.
So, what other things are you doing to help your cognitive healing?
Well, I mean, cognitive stimulation is important, and I'm cutting back on some of these tools during school. It was a decision I made that if I'm going to continue to teach, I can't do social things. I can't exercise, hike or the way to other activities that I like to do. I don't do any apps on my phone, brain apps, because that's additional cognitive energy and stress.
I typically do it right before bed, actually, because when I play a few games, I get exhausted and I'm, you
Yeah,
know,
there's research on looking at a screen, or your phone prior to bed, and it changes.
I just put the blue light.
Oh, I have blue light blockers on my computers, on
Yeah,
my cell phone.
yeah.
Yeah, I at work it's like that. Yeah,
And this at the
it's a
UCLA,
mood ring.
it's a
I've heard of those.
aura ring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it tells me how much REM sleep I had and how much deep sleep I had, the latency of how long it took me to fall asleep and things. And when you can measure things, it really helps because then I think, oh, one day I had chocolate right before bed, and I had a terrible night's sleep that night because, not surprisingly, the glucose was going crazy inside my body. But yeah, so it helps teach me. I can't do a simple thing like clean my shelves because I drop things, or I clean it and then clean it again because I forgot that I just cleaned it. And it's a madhouse at my apartment. I can't be left alone. I do much better with people, and that's why I'm on the Jody House calls. How did you get independent? When did you know you were able to not do? Because I do create. I start cooking. I can't cook right now because I turn it up
I
too
haven't
high.
cooked,
Yeah.
like made things. I typically my goddaughters and their parents come over for Thanksgiving, and we go over there for Christmas Eve. And I think it was not this holiday, but the one before. I thought I could make a pumpkin pie. And first off, I'd look at the recipe and I'd go into the pantry to get, let's say, cinnamon, and I'd forget what did I go in there
On the
for.
way to the pantry.
Yeah.
On the way to the pantry. And then if it's
I would
goes
forget looking, okay, take one teaspoon of whatever, cinnamon or nutmeg. Just looking at that and looking at, I would forget.
I'm still like that. You're not like that anymore?
No, I don't cook.
Oh yeah, I don't cook.
Yeah, frozen vegetables, I can thaw them really well. But anyway, I don't know whether in cooking you normally put the dry into wet or wet into dry, but I did it backwards. And the pumpkin pie had these white dots in it. And my daughter came home and she said, "Dad, did you use an old can of condensed milk?" I said, "No, I got everything at the supermarket that was on the list." I'm sure I was looking at this and like, you know, and we looked, and it was new, and we figured out that I did it the other. So if you put dry and wet or wet and dry, I did it the other, so it clumped up. Fortunately, they put whipped cream on it, so you couldn't see it, and it tasted the same.
Okay.
But it was just, and from that point on, I don't try and cook.
I mean, I was a big cook. Every day I cooked, and it was, I would say, a hobby, and driving as well. So my therapist, I told me, this is not the therapist I currently have, but my previous one told me to start driving a little bit. Just go one block, don't go too far. So I started driving and I was fine. But you know how you don't know what you don't know?
Yeah.
So at that time, my processing speed was very slow. It's 5 to 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Something would happen, I would respond 5 seconds later. That's a huge amount of time. And so I was at a stop sign in Beverly Hills. I looked left, I looked right. Nobody was at the stop sign, so I went. She nearly hit me. There was someone at the stop sign. I guess I had sat at the stop sign. I'd looked and then driven 5 seconds later or something, or 10 seconds. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was like, if I killed somebody just because
I had to
want
retake
drive,
a driving test. I mean,
I'm not
if-
ready yet. I call it blacking out. I
well,
don't know.
if you've had a brain injury and you've been in a hospital in coma, you have to automatically
Yes.
retake a driving test. And my goddaughter was gracious enough to help me relearn how to drive.
Wow.
And luckily for me, I had an appointment, let's say the beginning of a month, and I went there and they didn't have my medical records or my vision records. So I couldn't take the test. And then a month and a half later, my test, the retest came up. Well, if you have a brain injury, not only do you have to do a driving test, but we came back to the DMV and the tester said, "Okay, now I'm going to tell you where to turn and where to drive. And then you have to get us back to DMV."
Wow.
And first off, I couldn't have done that 6 weeks earlier. And he didn't go in a circle And had he done that, I don't think I could have gotten back. Fortunately for me, he went, and I, I had to say under my breath, like, keep going. Okay, if we turned left, I would say turn right, turn right, turn right, turn right, turn right, and then he'd turn, let's say right, and then he'd go turn left, turn left, turn left, turn left, turn left, turn right, turn left, and I had to keep saying that over and over and over. You don't talk to the tester. He's just telling you where to go. Okay, go down here like 3 blocks, and then and I said it. I made sure I told myself to turn the other direction than we turned so I could get back to the DMV. Um, and I had to keep saying that the whole time and then say it all the way back in order to pass. Otherwise, I wouldn't have passed the driving
I
test.
mean, yesterday, I think it was at 12 o'clock noon yesterday, I was at a doctor's appointment and he told me 3 words that I had to remember. And I didn't
I
remember.
have to write them down.
I couldn't remember. I remember two, but not the third one. He told me the words, then made me do some stuff. And then
So you were being tested.
he was testing
Oh,
me.
okay. Yeah.
And so now, today, 24 hours later, I can't get it out of my head. Because he did 3 words, and then I realized what he was doing. So second time he gave me baby, kitchen, and country. So I went baby, kitchen, country, baby, kitchen, country. I'm like, I'm gonna forget it. I'm gonna forget it because then he makes you fold papers and do all
Yeah.
this stuff.
Oh,
So
I've
I
had
was
those cognitive
I
stuff.
can visualize now. So I was like, okay, there's a
I
baby
think
in
it's
a
great
yeah.
that you're able to remember that.
It's great, but now
Because
I can't forget it. I'm
but
like
I
baby,
can't,
kitchen, country, baby, kitchen, country.
but with my brain injury, I can't pull that up on my own. So I wouldn't, honestly, I would love to remember this
What if you
interview.
couldn't get it out of your heads?
I
Would you
know,
like
I know.
that?
Oh,
Yeah.
the word I forgot earlier
Yeah.
was ruminate.
Ruminates.
And I said to Dr. Ignacio, I ruminated last night. And generally you think ruminate, that's something bad. But I was happy that I ruminated a couple times.
I wanted to ask you a question that Dr. Ignacio asked on the call. It was, tell me something that is better about you because of the injury.
Yeah, the way he asked it is, what gifts did you get from your brain injury? And
You already told us that you got closer to spirit, so we have that.
yeah,
What other gifts?
um, well, one is I'm at peace now, but I've learned so much about neurophysiology and about the brain. Even though I taught that when I taught physiology, I really didn't know stuff about the brain that I do now, like brain processing speed. And I would have loved to have done research on that had I had a knowledge of it. And Dr. Ignacio uses the term cognitive privilege. And the way he describes that, because you could use it in many different ways, is that a brain injury survivor has the privilege of knowing the gifts God gave us before that we no longer have. And for me, when I was a college student, uh, I took biochemistry at UCLA. And at UCLA, the finals were 3 hours.
Wow.
And I finished the final in 23 minutes and
Wow.
got the highest grade in the class. Now, in biochemistry, you learn the metabolic pathways. And in the pathways, there are some that are circular, some that are linear, and there are chemical structures in them. I could open a book and look at the pathway, and I would have it in my brain, in my mind's eye, immediately.
Like that.
Now, I don't have photographic memory, or I didn't have photographic memory, so I couldn't remember every line of every page. But for chemistry and other fields, I would have a very high degree of mental imagery. And before my brain injury, I thought the students learning these pathways, if they can't learn it, it's because they're not studying, they're not spending time on it, they're distracted.
Lazy.
Yeah. And then Dr. Ingles talked about that spectrum of visualization. So it's given me a lot more compassion that there are students that aren't high visualizers, and it's difficult for them to really see and memorize and learn that material because they read it and they learn it and then they forget it.
You know, it's interesting because I was a professional poker player and it was very similar. All of us had the probability, the statistics, but why did some of us win all the time? And
God made you with that tool.
I had it.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I felt it. I knew it. It wasn't step one, step two.
That was a cognitive privilege that you had. And
It's a blessing to lose it because
that's the gift that
wow.
Dr. Ignacio asks about. Now, maybe it's a little bit easier for me because I was 61 when I had my brain injury. Some people in the group were, in their teen age years or in their early 20s. And there was one woman in her 70s, but she had her brain injury when she was 4.
Wow.
And they didn't look at it as a gift. And I can see that because for me, I had 60 years of an incredibly blessed life and incredible opportunities that most people never get. So, I'm 61. I learned I was 63 when I came out of it, or got queuing. Um, I had 61 years of just, amazing opportunities. So now God wants me to look at new perspectives.
You wanted to tell me in 2022 something that happened.
Oh, yes. That was when I got queuing back. So I think,
Why did it suddenly happen?
well, my neurologist said it will take about 2 years to get cueing back, to get visualization back. And interestingly, another maybe a psychiatrist that I did the testing on because I was on disability, so you got to prove that you got a brain injury. Let's see, I just.
So what 2022?
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, so it wasn't until 2022 that I was able to see something and remember as long as I'm looking at it. Because we talked about some things and then I forget when I get distracted. And that happens often. It still happens because I can't visualize. So, because I can't visualize, I can't conceptualize things in my brain. I can't design research studies. I can't conceptualize just in my brain to make up a plan for what I'm going to do that week.
I want to ask you a question because that is about planning and visualizing the forward, the calendar and
Yeah.
what you're going to do. I have another issue, which is I can't tell when I need to go to the bathroom. Like there's a time that I put alarms every 4 hours to go pee. Why am I not feeling my body?
There may be sensory neurons in your brain that aren't synapsing.
So weird at 52 years
I
old to not
agree.
know when you need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. But there's weird things in our brain that nobody understands because I've asked the doctors and neuroscientists, how am I remembering by cueing, but I can't pull it out on my own. And they don't have those answers
Yeah, I
yet.
knew everybody's telephone numbers off by heart, like hundreds and hundreds of numbers. I was a numbers person. I mean, that's what. And now, if you told me 6 times 7, I'm like 6, 12.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
see, 12, 6, 12, 24. 24 plus 6. And by the time 36 is 6. and then 636
I
plus
don't
6.
I don't know whether I could do that.
Yeah,
I could
42.
write it down and do it. I mean, I could do calculus and physics, but it has to be written down. I can't just do it in my
See
head
it. Yeah,
anymore.
and I used to, if you used to say what's 100 times 462, my brain would boom, the number would come up. I wouldn't
Yeah.
work it out,
Yeah. Well, your brain had been working out, but it was so quick.
like that.
And I think there are kids that have very little visualization. And as a teacher, like I'm thinking grade school even, as a teacher, if they don't have the opportunity to write it down, um, it becomes very difficult. Something that I have told very few people is if I had to go through even high school or grade school, now I wouldn't pass. Here I'm teaching at a university, but I couldn't pass. And the reason why is I can't pull things out of my brain.
And that's learning something new. Whereas what you're
Yeah.
teaching, it's in you.
Well, there are things that I know or knew. And initially when I was a robot teaching, I couldn't plug in new studies. Now I can incorporate new studies. And the reason why I can is because I can look up at the slide and see what the slide is, and that will cue me to that information. But before my brain injury, I could read a study and I would know the methodology, the purpose, the results, the discussion. I would remember everything about it and how that study relates to other studies.
Because you could picture it.
Yeah, exactly. And
Wow.
now I can't do that. And when I gave that presentation on nutrition at the Brain Injury Network of Maryland, or Brain Injury Association of Maryland, when I was giving that lecture, I incorporated new research. And one of the slides came up, and I told them, you know, I'm going to have to go past that slide because I can't remember it. But those were doctors that
Yeah.
were knew about brain injury. So I said, I'm sorry, I can't tell you the information on this slide. The good thing about that was that evening when I gave my keynote talk, I said, for those of you that were in my presentation earlier, when I couldn't cue that information, that tells you the difference from before my brain injury to now, because I wouldn't even have to look at it and I could tell you everything about that study. But that study just doesn't have enough information. And you probably have that experience now where you've had like many things going on. And even if you're cued with it, or even if you remember it, you only remember some of it. I can't remember every detail anymore.
No, and I take my pills, and then
Yeah, did I
did I
take
take
them?
them? I had to make these cards, and you turn them around when I took them, and absolute craziness, and it's craziness in my. I mean that's the only people who know that who I really am right now are my caregivers, because honestly, and not just my caregivers, but also, I don't know if you had this experience, but I have had moments where I've been triggered with family or something, and I said something crazy to them
Oh, I'm sure I've done that
out
with my
loud.
family.
Like, no, shouted and wrote nasty
Oh,
emails, and I got mean. I When I couldn't get the words out, I had aphasia where I would think the word, but it
yeah.
wouldn't come out of my mouth. I was very angry. I got very angry, and I couldn't control my temper.
Yeah, I did some things I think, I mean, I guess, in my recovery that I've apologized to my family for because I wanted things done my way and, I was belligerent.
We're
And,
like 3 years old. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm still in it
But
right
that's
now.
the good thing about a support group. Each of the support groups, uh, you don't have to describe everything in detail because other people know exactly what you're talking about. Anything that is abnormal, that dealing with a brain injury, we've all gone through. And that's what's great about Clark Elliott's book, The Ghost in My Brain. I don't know how he remembered everything, but he details the stages of his progress.
Wow.
And I mean, he's recovered. Uh,
Fully?
uh, I don't know whether it's fully, he only knows that, but it is an incredible amount.
I've been told by multiple doctors that I will never be the same again, that my brain,
Oh, I don't think
but
we're ever the same.
no,
I don't know whether you can get all the gifts back, and I sort of doubt it, but
no, you,
depend on what age you are. Um,
I'm not, it's not, I'm so far from it right now. I mean, it's
oh,
great that I can
you'll get
talk.
farther, but you
Yeah.
may not. I don't know whether I don't. Yeah, I mean, part of it maybe I'm older. Maybe a 20-year-old who starts.
Yes.
And as I said, there was a woman who at 4 had a brain injury, and she was in her 70s, and
And she's still coming to the
very
meetings.
bitter, very
Yeah.
bitter.
She's still coming to the meetings.
And
Yeah.
um, you know, I don't know whether it's diet and exercise, consistently walking, doing things healthy way have
I,
allowed me to heal this
I
much.
think it's because who you were before. You were an athlete, you were a professor, and you were
I
tenacious.
did ask when I gave that presentation to the doctors and physical therapists and speech therapists the next morning before I flew out. There was a gym, so I was walking on the treadmill, and some of the people that attended were walking on the treadmills next to me. And I asked them, "Do you think my background and my knowledge gave me a leg up to healing, not only cognitively but physically?" And they said, "There's no doubt." Because in physical therapy, they give you an exercise. Well, I know the muscles they're trying to work on. I know how they move in the body. I teach biomechanics. I know the physiology of it. So, that.
Didn't you help some famous people get fit for movies and things?
Yeah, back in my early days, while I was still a doctoral advisor and up through my early 30s, yes, I consulted for the entertainment industry.
Are you allowed to name drop or not really?
The problem is many people who are younger, they won't recognize these names. you know, you know, probably the most famous was Clint Eastwood, but Lou Ferrigno, who was the Hulk, but I don't know whether people know him. Vince Klein, who was in Point Break and other movies. He's a great villain. He's the nicest guy in the world.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and other actors and actresses. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this. It's
Well,
been
you're welcome. It's been my
really,
pleasure.
it's very soothing talking to you, and I know that you have inspired me, and that you
Thank you.
get up and you're a professor, and that you're so generous with your time and your knowledge is just amazing. And I hope we can do this again sometime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to.